Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at a bunch of things that I've acquired over the last little while, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be filming with DJI products. In my case, with the Pocket 2, which I'm filming on right now, the Mavic Mini 2, which everybody has seen probably 4,000 videos on, and also the new Air 2s drone. So I'm going to start off because we're at a really beautiful spot right now, and I'm just going to talk about how they're used while filming. Thanks, and stay tuned. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is the DJI Pocket 2. It's an incredibly handy device. It doesn't have the biggest sensor, so it's not perfect in low light, but it's good even in cloudy weather and kind of dimly lit cloudy weather, or indoors where it's relatively brightly lit. The only way you would improve on that is to get a slightly bigger sensor, maybe going up to a 1-inch, hint, maybe the next version. But the best thing about it is that it's super portable. It has a stabilized gimbal on it, so it'll allow you to walk with it and allow you to put it on a tripod however you want to use it. But the main benefit is that you can actually have it in your pocket and bring it wherever you go, and then put it on a selfie stick or on a tripod and get great footage. It also allows you to use a flat profile, which gives you a bit more dynamic range and allows you to match it a little bit better to other footage if you're filming with other devices. And it's just overall something that I've been really enjoying using on location, as opposed to lugging around a DSLR and bringing all that extra stuff. I have a little screen on it that I'm looking at right now, and although I can't see what my facial expression is or anything, I can tell that I'm in the right spot of the screen, so that if I wanted to put a picture here, for example, I would be able to do that. Very handy. Also, I can control the turning it on and off with this wireless mic. So speaking of that wireless mic, the wireless mic is what I'm using right now. It's what allows me to get very good audio, because I'm very close, my mouth is close to the microphone, and being wireless, I don't have to think about having to use it. I just turn it on, and when you have the creator combo with the all-in-one handle, it picks up the radio signal very easily and allows me to just turn it on and start talking. And like I mentioned before, I can turn off and on the recording from a distance using a button that's on here. On the other hand, if you don't want to use this wireless mic, you can attach any microphone, like a shotgun mic or anything with a wire on it, directly to the all-in-one handle, because it has a 3.5mm microphone jack included right on it. So if I had to pick a couple of things, or a few things that I don't like about this device, is that one, it doesn't have a removable battery, so you're kind of stuck with a limited amount of recording time in a day, approximately an hour, a bit more, which is usually enough, but I like to have a backup if I can, although I can plug in a powered battery brick if I want. Also, it has a magnetic edge or a metal edge around the lens, which allows you to put on the wide angle adapter, which is also something included on the creator combo, but it's not super strong. So it's strong when you're not moving, but if it falls over or if you jar it when you're trying to put on something else, that wide angle lens can fly off. I know this for a fact because I've done it 3 times, the last time of which I was in gravel and my lens flew off, and I haven't seen it again. I have another one on order now, thanks to that. So that's not something I like. Now, the last thing that is something I just mentioned a second ago is that if I had to improve one thing about it, is I would make this a slightly larger device with the same 1-inch sensor that's on the DJI Air 2s, so that you have even more dynamic range, even better low light use, and slightly better picture than you get with this. Even though I'm happy with this, that would at least allow you to match the 2 types of video. And finally, the one last thing I'll mention about this is that the field of view is very wide on the Pocket 2. The standard lens that comes as is already 20mm, which is actually quite good for almost everything you'd want to use it for, especially standing like this. Don't need a super wide for this sort of thing. And when you want to have it on a selfie stick and about this distance, it also has the wide angle lens adapter, which is the equivalent of a 15mm, which is perfect for every other application. Again though, easy to lose, like I did. So next I'm going to talk about this little drone. This is the DJI Air 2s, and it's the latest release from DJI on the drone front. It sports a 1-inch sensor, has a lot of power, has about, in real terms, about 25 minutes of flight time, and is a very, very easy to use and high quality drone. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you a whole bunch of clips that I've done with it over the last few weeks, and I'm going to talk about what's required in order to use a drone like this and where you can actually use it. Let's have a look. So one of the things I like to do when I'm up on a high vantage point like this is I like to send a drone off to get an establishing shot of where I am. So I'm just going to start my filming right now. Got everything running on my drone, and I'm gonna do a droney. So I'm gonna send that off and do it right now. So what do you need in order to fly the Air 2s? If you live in the Western world, there are rules involved. In my case in Canada, there are serious penalties for not following the rules. You can receive up to $1,000 fine for flying without a pilot certificate, for flying an unregistered or unmarked drone, another $1,000 for flying where you're not allowed, and up to $1,000 for putting aircraft or people at risk. While this sounds quite daunting at first, all you really need are the following. Get yourself a recreational license from Transport Canada, register your drone online, and put that registration number on your drone. After that's done, in terms of safety, you have to fly it where you can see it at all times, or have a visual line of sight, as we call it. You have to fly below 122 meters. You have to keep your drone at least 30 meters horizontally away from people. And you have to stay entirely away from large gatherings and emergency operations. And finally, when it comes to airport and heliport safety, you can't fly within 5.6 kilometers of an airport or 1.9 kilometers from a heliport. And you basically have to stay outside of all controlled airspace and far away from any other aircraft. If you absolutely need to do any of the above, you will require a commercial license and a lot more training. Now that we've spoken about the Air 2s, now I'd like to talk a little bit about the Mini 2, or the DJI Mini 2, which is a much smaller drone than the A2s, and it's under 249 grams. One thing that's important to note is that when you're under 249 grams, you actually have a lot more places that you're allowed to fly your drone. And when you're in the city, that's really important because there's a ton of areas, and I'll show you what I mean by areas that you're not allowed to fly. There's a ton of them that you're not allowed to go up with anything over 249 or 250 grams because of the weight of the drone, mainly because of flight patterns and that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you one flight using my DJI Mini 2 within the city of Ottawa, and in a place that you can't fly a bigger drone, but you can fly this one legally. The reason why it's legal is because I'm not going to be flying over any people, I'm not going over any roads, I'm staying below the height that's required for when you're in an area that has airports, and it's all fully legal, and we'll discuss that once I get this flight done. Let's jump right into the Mini 2 rules. Basically, you don't need to register your drone and you don't need a pilot's license, but you do have to pay attention to rules and avoid putting anybody or any aircraft in danger. So what does that actually mean? These are the rules according to the Transport Canada website under their micro drone section. It states that as a good practice, you should always keep a line of sight with your drone. You shouldn't fly above 400 feet. You should always keep a safe distance between your drone and any bystanders, and you should stay away from anything that flies, basically. Also, you should do a pre-flight inspection of your drone and stay close enough to the drone so that you don't get a disconnect, and avoid advertised events. The strange thing about this list is that none of it is black and white, that you absolutely have to adhere to this. They're basically suggestions to make sure that you don't get in trouble. Guaranteed though, if you accidentally hurt somebody or break something or someone complains about you, you will hear about it. So it's always best to maintain safe practices. So now that we know the differences between these two types of drones, how do I know which one to use and when or where? In my case, I live in Canada and I use a very convenient app called Drone Pilot Canada. It's not cheap, but it's extremely useful and gives me all the information I need so that I don't do anything stupid. These two maps come from the Drone Pilot Canada app. The one in the middle that's mostly red is what you see when you're flying a drone that's over 250 grams. The one on the right, which is mostly yellow, is for when you're flying a drone that's under 250 grams. Anywhere where you see red is a no-fly zone unless you have a commercial drone pilot's license and you have permission from Transport Canada to fly there. Going back to the one on the right though, anything that's yellow is an area where you can fly with caution. We'll get into that in a second when I drill down onto these maps. These two maps show the area where I was flying the Mini 2 just a few minutes ago. Now you'll notice that everything on the left-hand map is in pink or reddish, which means that I can't fly there if I'm flying anything over 250 grams. But on the right-hand side, where it's all mostly yellow, it's an area where I can fly with caution. So let's see what that actually means. If I drill down on the map that applies to drones that are over 250 grams, you can see immediately that it says for basic pilots, it's a no-fly zone. Advanced pilots must have an approved NAV Canada flight authorization request, meaning if I don't have that, I can't fly. Now, if I drill down onto the map that's meant for sub 250 gram drones, I can see that I am now allowed to fly. It says flights are permitted, but fly with caution. This means that I'm close enough to an airport that I have to worry about it, so I have to stay below 30 meters. Otherwise, I can fly as long as I am flying safely. In the interest of keeping this video a bit more short, I'm just going to list off the reasons why each of these drones is better than the other. In the case of the DJI Mini 2, it's less expensive, extremely small, easy to bring anywhere you go. It doesn't require a license, and it does not require you to register the drone. These are very useful factors when you're traveling and also when you just want to use a drone without any fuss. In terms of the DJI Air 2s, this drone is faster, has better range, it's better in high winds, has a 1-inch sensor which makes it better in low light. It has excellent tracking functionality which the Mini 2 has none. It also allows you to shoot in D-Log, which is a flat color profile that's very easy to grade and has much greater dynamic range than when you don't have it. And it also shoots in 5.4K video. This is useful for when you want to zoom in on specific points in your video without losing any quality, and also gives you a crisper image. If you have anything to add to the discussion, please leave your comments below. And if you have found this video useful or entertaining in any way, please leave me a like and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.